Hi, my names are Viola Mutavu and I am recording a mock interview video for my school project. So, giving you a little bit details about myself. My name's of course Viola Mutavu, as I said, and I study at Kepler University where I'm doing the associate's degree in general studies and in concentration in business. And I'm going to answer a few of behavioral interview questions. And so first of all, I want to give you a little bit of some details about my past working experience. So I have worked for approximately the past 5 years, ever since I finished my high school education. And from all those experiences, I realized that some companies are punctual, others are not. Some companies are very organized and have different ways of recording and keeping their transactions. Others have other different kind of ways. I also realized that there is a lot of diversity in different workplaces. But what I realized as a similarity to all of those past working experience is that um, most people like problem solvers, someone who can be able to identify a problem and solve it without asking help from their supervisor or other superiors. So, describing a time when I worked well in a team. So we were working with Saba Engineering, which was partnering with WASAC, and WASAC is mainly for water and sanitation in Rwanda. So we were collecting data and carrying out field work in the districts and northern and the eastern province. Yeah, so we were in the eastern province and we were a team of two. So we were supposed to look for accommodations and food ourselves and make sure to finish the work in 2 days in one province. So what I realized was my partner was not very strong in communicating or speaking the English language, and mostly the people we are carrying interviews with were speaking in Kinyarwanda, and the questions were actually in English, and we were supposed to translate them to Kinyarwanda. And my partner was very strong in Kinyarwanda, so we tried to make it effective and efficient for all of us in such a way that she helped me to translate the information that we got from the interview from English to Kinyarwanda. No, from Kinyarwanda to English, and I also helped her to write the reports because she was not good at computer skills. She was not good at speaking English, as I said. So I helped her to make the final reports, and so in that way, I think I worked well in that team because I we provided a really good. We were very productive and had a good output because we worked in a team. And another thing I wanted to talk about was uh, a time when I had too many things to do and had to prioritize my tasks. So I was working as an online marketeer as an intern, and I also had temporary jobs where we could do ushering and other things. So I also had to work on school as well. So I first had to do what I had to make I had to make I had to make like a plan of, because I could see that the week was going to be very loaded, so I had to make a plan on how I was going to manage my time during the week. So I tried to prioritize by saying the deadline of my assignment is tonight, so I'm going to do it at this time. And then if I had to maybe to make an update on the website, and the deadline was the next morning, so I first did what was supposed to be given first, and then I had to do the other later. That's when it was not an easy week, but it helped me to be able to submit my work on time and satisfy all of my supervisors and teachers and employers' needs. Yeah. So another scenario I want to talk about was a time when I had to go above and beyond the call of duty, and how did I handle the situation. So this was a very tricky situation because because it, I was working on a night shift at the airport, and we were doing ushering for the African Green Growth Forum uh, meeting. So there were very many visitors from very many countries who were coming for the conference, and we had to make sure that they were all given the service that they needed. So, and in the at the airport there are very many inconveniences, which includes many people losing their baggages, and coming having to come back later when it's already not their country. So it wasn't really easy for them. So one client asked me to give them my number so that they can be able to follow up on the three suitcases which were still which were not still found yet. So I had to help them and look for the suitcases the next day, and I had worked night shift from 11 p.m., and our shift was supposed to end at 8 a.m. And I had to stay with their baggages and in order for them to be safe, and they reached at the airport around 11 a.m. So you can understand that all of my other colleagues had already had already gone home to sleep, and I was already still on duty because I didn't want them to lose their baggages. So this was a time when I had to work to work beyond the call of duty in order to satisfy the needs of the employer. So, and also a time when I was able to work effectively under pressure was when so I was working firstly as an administrative assistant at EGH Limited, and I was later promoted to the assistant brand and community manager. But before they had gotten before I had to first train the new administrative assistant by and also doing my work as an assistant brand manager. It was very tricky because the new administrative assistant was not really invested in it, and most of the work I had to do it because I had to make sure that the work was done well, and if it was not, of course I would have to answer to the employer. And it was a lot of pressure because I had to do mostly, it was like I was doing two jobs because I was still training her every day, and I had to fulfill the daily tasks that were assigned to me by the head brand manager. And so I tried to make like a schedule for each day and each thing I have to do every day, and also encourage the young new administrative assistant to be able to be more productive. So I told her, I gave her more trainings even on the weekends in order to have a more clear week. So she was later more accustomed to what I was teaching her. So it was really a lot of pressure to deliver all of those requirements on time, but in the end it was worth it because the work was well done, and that was the really, actually it was the most important part of all. And also I'm going to tell you about an example of a time when I showed an initiative at a workplace. So we were having trainings at my workplace when I was working at Ego Tours. So we were having trainings, and I I they needed someone to be able to make like a list of, or a schedule of the minutes and everything that was make minutes, and to make a schedule for every agenda that was on the program for the trainings. and in order for the boss to see if the what was being taught was being understood. So I volunteered to make that schedule, and also I also made sure that every person was able to submit the answers to the questions that were given during the training as an assignment. Yeah, and I also made sure that they gave them on time voluntarily, and I also gave them to my boss on time. So I also made sure to ask all of my fellow colleagues if they had questions. So I made a list or a document where I put all of the questions that were we had during the training that we needed our employer to address, not the people who are giving us trainings. So they actually I was very privileged because I was given that opportunity of leading them and helping them. So I took it. Yeah. And lastly, I want to give to give a little information about what I've discovered from my working experience is that um, it doesn't matter if someone is being unprofessional. It doesn't matter if someone is it doesn't matter if someone is being unprofessional. You have to be unprofessional. It doesn't matter if someone is being offensive or is not um, accepting diversity. Well, I think you still have to be professional and deliver the work that you're supposed to do. And also, I've realized that employers really like people who think outside the box and are critical thinkers who can creatively just come up with new things. Yeah. So and yeah, that's mostly what I've learned. Yeah. So thank you so much for your time.